Commissioner, with all the emphasis on online, then obviously the accuracy of those online collections becomes a bigger issue for governments, local governments in particular. So if it's a local store, you kind of have a feel and flair for where they are traditionally in their trends. So if something seems out of whack, you respond to it quickly, but it's not quite the same with the on out of state retailers. So what level of comfort can you provide us as to how the situs is determined from reporting and how that process works? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So an out-of-state seller, an online seller, will complete a schedule with their return that has all the jurisdictions, and they are required to break down their sales per jurisdiction. They'll do that using a jurisdictional database, and that may be their own. And some of these are really some of the biggest companies around and very sophisticated and have very sophisticated systems. So we feel comfortable in those, and we audit those companies. Others can use the jurisdictional database that we at the state provide, which we feel very confident in. And one of the questions we get sometimes is, well, is this just based on zip code? And zip codes cross jurisdictional boundaries. And I want to assure everyone it's not based on zip code. It's much more granular than that. It's based on actual physical address. It uses GIS technology, to do that. I think the bulk of the money is covered by jurisdictional databases, either the company's own or their big software vendors and sales tax collection service providers that have sophisticated jurisdictional databases, and we have our own that we make available. What we do sort of in looking at that on the back end, we do look at and identify returns that are obviously not correct, where it's all in one jurisdiction, or it's all only in a handful, or it's all just at the county level and not at the city level. And we have and do identify those readily, and we work with those directly with those taxpayers to get them doing it right and to give us information so we can fix the ones that they filed. They've remitted the right amount of money. They just need to give us the correct information to send it to the correct jurisdiction. So that does happen where we review those and find ones that they're just obviously not doing it correctly. And I feel good about what we've done to identify those and fix them. That sort of leaves, well, okay, somebody's filling it out. It generally looks like they're doing it right, but how do I know that at the margin, that they're getting all the amounts exactly right for each jurisdiction? And there's really no way for us to make that determination by looking at their return. It's really just subject to auditing like any other compliance. And so we don't audit all taxpayers every year. We audit a percentage of taxpayers, each year. But it's really an audit function. One thing I think is important to convey, this is the city's tax and the local government's tax that they impose. We simply have the opportunity, the obligation, the duty to collect that for you. And we work hard to do that timely and accurately, and that's a service we provide to you guys. But it's your tax, and the point of saying that is that information is available to the cities for the taxpayers in their jurisdictions. And the way to access that is through what we call the Revenue External Portal, and that's available through TINTAP, our outward-facing system, and it's administered by our Financial Control Division. If you don't have access to that, I would encourage you to get log on and get access to that, because that's the way to look at the return data by taxpayer, in your jurisdiction. And Financial Controls has put out, they have a PowerPoint, which I'd be happy to provide, that sort of a manual for how to look at this online. I would just encourage you, that's a great resource I would encourage folks to use, so they can see, should be able to and can see, the data about the taxpayers and the collections in their individual jurisdiction.